Allahu, 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 Allah.
Today, inshallah, Abdurrahman will be discussing about the next surah, which is Surah An Naziat, the 79th chapter in the Quran.
So today, inshallah, we will be doing Surah Naziat. I will first read the surah and then I will go over the translation and the tafsir. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والنازعات غرقا والناشطات نشطا والسابحات سبحا فالسابقات سبقا فالمدبرات أمرا يوم ترجف الراجفة تتبعها الرادفة قلوب يومئذ واجفة أبصارها خاشعة يقولون إنا لمردودون في الحافرة أئذا كنا عظاما نخرة قالوا تلك إذا كرة خاسرة فإنما هي زجرة واحدة فإذا هم بالساهرة هل أتاك حديث موسى إذ ناداه ربه بالوادي المقدس طوى اذهب إلى فرعون إنه طغى فقل هل لك إلى أن تزكى وأهديك إلى ربك فتخشى فأراه الآية الكبرى فكذب وعصى ثم أدبر يسعى فحشر فنادى فقال أنا ربكم الأعلى فأخذه الله نكال الآخرة والأولى إن في ذلك لعبرة لمن يخشى أنتم أشد خلقا من السماء بناها رفع سمكها فسواها وأغطش ليلها وأخرج ضحاها والأرض بعد ذلك دحاها أخرج منها ماءها ومرعاها والجبال أرساها متاعا لكم ولأنعامكم فإذا جاءت الطامة الكبرى يوم يتذكر الإنسان ما سعى وبرزت الجحيم لمن يرى فأما من طغى وآثر الحياة الدنيا فإن الجحيم هي المأوى وأما من خاف مقام ربه ونهى النفس عن الهوى فإن الجنة هي المأوى يسألونك عن الساعة أيان مرساها فيما أنت من ذكراها إلى ربك منتهاها إنما أنت منذر من يخشاها كأنهم يوم يرونها لم يلبثوا إلا عشية أو ضحاها بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي ربي زدني علما ربي زدني علما ربي زدني علما آمين يا رب العالمين. Today inshallah we will be going over the translation and tafsir of Surah Naziat. So let's start off with the first ayah. وَالنَّازِعَاتِ غَرْقًا. So the translation that it says in the book, it says by those angels stripping out the evil souls harshly. So I want to go over the meaning of every word. So An Naziat, what does that mean? An Naziat means to pull out forcefully, harshly, with violence. So in the next ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say the same thing. Instead of saying wan nazi'ati gharqa, he's going to say wan nashitati nashta. For those souls who have done good, the good souls will be pulled out gently. So a nashitat comes from the root word anash, which is easily. So when the way you take out a rope and when it has a knot, it easily comes out sometimes. So this is the way how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing it, that the good souls will come out very gently. On the other hand, an-nashitat, those who are doing the bad deeds and who the evil souls, these souls will be stripped out and be thrown all the way to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so these souls will not have any mercy on. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the angels. There are three opinions on the third ayah, وَالسَّابِحَاتِ سَبْحًا, by those gliding through the heavens swiftly. So there's one opinion, which is the most popular opinion, is the angels that are going swiftly, that they are swimming through the heavens. This is what the translation says. As-sabihat comes from the root word as-sibah, which is swimming. So they would be gliding or swimming through the heavens swiftly. Or it's that the clouds are going swiftly, or it is that the wind is moving very fast. So why did the scholars pick the wind? The reason being is that the wind, it either can come as a comfort once to you, or it can become relaxing at one point, like when you're running and then a cold wind comes, or when someone's in the desert and a wind comes, so that would be calming. But when like a tornado or like a hurricane, that's not so calming. So that is the, it's not a punishment, but it's like a catastrophe almost. So the wind can come in two types, that it's anger, with anger or with happiness. So this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving attribution to the wind. Then فَالسَّابِقَاتِ سَبَقًا, and by those taking a lead vigorously. So what does this mean? This is talking about the angels who are going to be galloping all the way to the heaven. So the way you see clouds, sometimes you would see one cloud going very slow and there's another one going super duper fast, or there's one huge one, or there's one small one, there's one weird shaped one. So this is the way it is. This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is comparing it. That there's going to be one angel going slowly, gently, carrying the good souls. There's one that's going to go like zip all the way to the heaven, giving it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then يَوْمَ تَرْجُفُ الرَّاجِفَةُ, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives a scenario on the day of judgment. For this surah, you will see a lot of signs of the day of judgment and a lot of things that will be happening on the day of judgment. So this is the first ayah talking about the day of judgment. So يَوْمَ تَرْجُفُ الرَّاجِفَةُ, what does it mean? It means consider the day when a huge blast or a humongous blast will come past you. So this is going to be called the first blow by Israfil. Everyone will, when anyone hears it, and they would all collapse and everyone would die. And then تَتْبَعُهَا الرَّادِفَةُ, and it would be followed by a following blast. So what do we have so far? We have Nazi'ati gharqa, and remember this rhyme scheme. Look at the rhyme scheme that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put وَالنَّازِعَاتِ غَرْقًا وَالنَّاشِطَاتِ نَشْطًا وَالسَّابِحَاتِ سَبْحًا فَالسَّابِقَاتِ سَبْقًا. And then he continues on. He keeps on going on with the rhyme scheme. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't keep on going like this. He keeps a mnemonic type of a rhyme scheme. So look at this. So the next ayah is يوم ترجف الراجفة تتبعها الرادفة, followed by the second blast. So تتبعها, it means like when you go in a car and you have someone sitting in the back seat, there would be تتبعها, they're going to be following you. And there's another one that when you do an action, something else will follow it. So if you turn in your homework to the teacher, she will grade the paper. So that would be the other example. And then the next ayah talks about the first thing that when they get resurrected from the ground, this is the first thing that they would be feeling. قُلُوبٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ وَاجِفَةٌ, the denier's heart, those who were lying, they will be on that day, they would be trembling in horror. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not say al-qulub, he said qulubun. He made it general and generalized to those disbelieving souls, that these deniers would be trembling in horror. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings back what they and then he adds on to this sentence saying absaruha khashia, that this ayah means that their eyes will be downcast, or this means that when they will be resurrected, they would feel all this commotion in their body, that they would just be looking everywhere and running everywhere, like they don't have any mind. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings back what they were saying. He says, يقولون أئنا لمردودون في الحافرة أئذا كنا عظاما نخرة. So what does this mean? يقولون أئنا لمردودون في الحافرة, that they will be asking the Prophet ﷺ, will we be really restored in our former state? And they're not asking this politely, they're asking it with sarcasm. They're saying, you really think we're going to be resurrected? Because at that time, the Arabs used to think that the universe would never end and everything would keep on going and going, and the universe would never end. أَإِذَا كُنَّا عِظَامًا نَخِرَةً, and even after when our bones and everything else has decayed. So they said to the Prophet ﷺ that it's okay if it's like 5-10 minutes, because they did not completely perish, but 5, 10, 100 years, then the body would perish and you could not be resurrected. So then they would just make fun of the Prophet ﷺ over this. قالوا تلك إذا كرة خاسرة. And then they would be adding onto the statement saying, such a return would be a loss for us. So they're saying this as sarcasm. Oh, and even if we do really do it, oh, we will be losers on the Day of Judgment. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues on with the scene of the Day of Judgment. فَإِنَّمَا هِيَ زَجْرَةٌ وَاحِدَةٌ. But indeed, it will be one humongous blast. فَإِذَا هُمْ بِالسَّاهِرَةِ. And then they would be raised above the ground. هَلْ أَتَاكَ حَدِيثُ مُوسَى. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He stops and then He talks about a scenario about a disbelieving man and a believing prophet. This is Musa alayhi salam and Fir'aun. هَلْ أَتَاكَ حَدِيثُ مُوسَى. Has not the story of Musa alayhi salam reached you, O Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam? إِذْ نَادَاهُ رَبُّهُ بِالْوَادِ الْمُقَدَّسِ طُوًى. And his Lord called him into the sacred valley of Tuwa. So majority of us know that the valley of Tuwa is where Prophet Musa alayhi salam got his revelation. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was revealing to Musa alayhi salam, اذهب إلى فرعون إنه طغى. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is commanding Musa alayhi salam, go to Fir'aun, for he has gone through all boundaries. So which boundaries? He did not look at Musa alayhi salam when he was talking. Then then on top of that, not just he didn't look at him, he did not accept it. He gathered all the people and he said, in the middle, he said, فَقُلْ هَلْ لَكَ إِلَىٰ أَن تَزَكَّى. Musa alayhi salam is asking him, would you like to be purified? Would you like to purify yourself? Right? وَأَهْدِيَكَ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ فَتَخْشَىٰ. That, and let me guide you to your Lord so that you can be in awe of him. So then Musa alayhi salam showed a miracle, فَأَرَاهُ الْآيَةَ الْكُبْرَى. But again, we know that Fir'aun did not believe in Islam or Musa alayhi salam. So فَكَذَّبَ وَعَصَى. He denied and disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ثُمَّ أَدْبَرَ يَسْعَى. He turned his back from the truth and he turned his back on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Musa alayhi salam. فَحَشَرَ فَنَادَى. He gathered all his people. And when فَحَشَرَ, with a big congregation. So then he said, what did Fir'aun say? He said, فَقَالَ أَنَّ رَبُّكُمُ الْأَعْلَى. Subhanallah. He says that I am your Lord, the Most High. Even though Musa alayhi salam saying, no, you are not the Lord. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the Lord of both me and you. And then Fir'aun ignores him, goes in the city, and then he says, فَقَالَ أَنَا رَبُّكُمُ الْأَعْلَى. فَأَخَذَهُ اللَّهُ نَكَالَ الْآخِرَةِ وَالْأُولَى. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows him. He says, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took over him, making him an example in this life and the next. إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَعِبْرَةً لِمَن يَخْشَى. For those who believe, will take this as a lesson, and for those who fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they would take this as a lesson. أَأَنْتُمْ أَشَدُّ خَلْقًا أَمِ السَّمَاءُ بَنَاهَا. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking us. He's saying, which is harder to create? You or the sky? And then he says banaha, that he built both of them. رَفَعَ سَمْكَهَا فَسَوَّاهَا. He raised it high, forming it flawlessly with no mistakes. وَأَغْطَشَ لَيْلَهَا وَأَخْرَجَ ضُحَاهَا. And as he dims the night, he brings forth in the daylight. وَالْأَرْضَ بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ دَحَاهَا. And that he brings the earth and he spreads it out well. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala compares this like to an egg. When you feel an egg, it's very soft. This is the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is comparing it. He's comparing the surface of an egg to the earth. أخرج منها ماءها ومرعاها والجبال أرساها. And then he brings humongous amounts of water, and he brings humongous amounts of pastures and fields. والجبال أرساها. And he sets the mountains down firm upon it as pegs. متاعا لكم ولأنعامكم. And then he talks about the animals, and all of this is being of a sustenance for you and your animals. Then out of this happy situation, you have earth, you have the sky, you have your animals, you have fields, you have and you have water. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فإذا جاءت الطامة الكبرى. But all of a sudden Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings this catastrophe down when the supreme disaster comes to pass. يوم يتذكر الإنسان ما سعى. And then everyone's mind will flip. And every person on that day will be remembering for what they had been striving for. وبرزت الجحيم لمن يرى. And that hellfire would be apparent for everyone, and it would be displayed like you see in a display case. فأما من طغى. And for those who had transgressed. So back in the beginning of the surah, we were seeing that the kuffar, they were mocking the Prophet ﷺ, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying, really, we're going to be resurrected. Now he's talking to these people. فأما من طغى. And then as for those who transgress, وآثر الحياة الدنيا. And they preferred this world than the next. فإن الجحيم هي المأوى. And everyone seeing this fire and seeing how angry it is, seeing how many blazing fires are in it. And then he says to them, yes, فإن الجحيم هي المأوى. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying this sarcastically a little to the kuffar. He's saying, indeed, the hellfire will be your home. وأما من خاف مقام ربه ونهى النفس عن الهوى. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings the good believers and he attributes them. He says, but as for those who feared Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and restrained themselves from the evil desires, فَإِنَّ الْجَحِيمَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى. And paradise will be only for them, and that will be their home. يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ السَّاعَةِ أَيَّانَ مُرْسَاهَا. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about when the kuffar were asking the Prophet ﷺ, when the hour will be. They ask you, O Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, regarding the hour and what will it be. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala replies to them saying, فِيمَ أَنْتَ مِنْ ذِكْرَاهَا. But it is not for you to tell its time. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is keeping it anonymous. إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ مُنْتَهَاهَا. And that knowledge only remains to your Lord alone. إِنَّمَا أَنْتَ مُنْذِرُ مَنْ يَخْشَاهَا. He's telling the Prophet ﷺ that your duty is only to warn those who believe in me. كأنهم يوم يرونها لم يلبثوا إلا عشية أو ضحاها. This ayah is the last ayah of Surah An Naziat. This ayah's translation is very deep. On that day, they would see the day of judgment, and they would be thinking in their minds that they're saying, we were only on the earth only for ashiyatan or duhaha, from Fajr time, Maghrib time, ashiyah, when the sun is starting to set, until duha, when early Fajr time. So this is according to the time period of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is how almost a whole lifetime is. Ashiyatan or duhaha, that it's only one evening or until one morning. So this is almost a whole lifetime to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this would be put in everyone's mind on the day of judgment. So Jazakallahu khairan for everyone attending today. This was the end of Surah Naziat. Now inshallah Abdullah can launch the polls.
Yes, I watched it right now. So inshallah, Jazakallah khair Abdurrahman for giving this beautiful speech and tafsir and translation on Surah An Naziat. So now inshallah, while you guys are answering the polls, I will recite the surah once more inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والنازعات غرقا والناشطات نشطا والسابحات سبحا فالسابقات سبقا فالمدبرات أمرا يوم ترجف الراجفة تتبعها الرادفة قلوب يومئذ واجفة أبصارها خاشعة يقولون أئنا لمردودون في الحافرة أئذا كنا عظاما نخرة قالوا تلك إذا كرة خاسرة فإنما هي زجرة واحدة فإذا هم بالساهرة هل أتاك حديث موسى إذ ناداه ربه بالوادي المقدس طوى اذهب إلى فرعون إنه طغى فقل هل لك إلى أن تزكى وأهديك إلى ربك فتخشى فأراه الآية الكبرى فكذب وعصى ثم أدبر يسعى فحشر فنادى فقال أنا ربكم الأعلى فأخذه الله نكال الآخرة والأولى إن في ذلك لعبرة لمن يخشى أأنتم أشد خلقا أم السماء بناها رفع سمكها فسواها وأغطش ليلها وأخرج ضحاها والأرض بعد ذلك دحاها أخرج منها ماءها ومرعاها والجبال أرساها متاعا لكم ولأنعامكم فإذا جاءت الطامة الكبرى يوم يتذكر الإنسان ما سعى وبرزت الجحيم لمن يرى فأما من طغى وآثر الحياة الدنيا فإن الجحيم هي المأوى وأما من خاف مقام ربه ونهى النفس عن الهوى فإن الجنة هي المأوى يسألونك عن الساعة أيان مرساها فيم أنت من ذكراها إلى ربك منتهاها إنما أنت منذر من يخشاها كأنهم يوم يرونها لم يلبثوا إلا عشية أو ضحاها. So now, inshallah, Abdurrahman will now be going over the polls. So around 10 people have answered, and there's 6 people left to answer. Abdurrahman, you can begin discussing the answers. And those 6 people who didn't answer it, you can still answer while Abdurrahman is giving the answers out, inshallah.
Yes, inshallah. Okay, so the first question begins with, what does Surah Naziat mean? To be pulled out easily, to be pushed back violently, to be pulled out violently, or to be pushed back easily. So let's get rid of some of the answer choices. It is not pushed back because the angels are pulling out the souls. So it is either pulled out easily or pulled out violently. وَالنَّازِعَاتِ غَرْقًا. This means that the souls will be pulled out violently. The evil souls will be pulled out violently. So the correct answer choice is to be pulled out violently. Then the next question is, what is the difference between Nazi'at and Nashta? Nazi'at is pulled out violently and Nashta is pushed back violently. Nazi'at is pushed out violently and Nashta is pulled out violently. Nazi'at is pulled violently and Nashta is pulled. Nazi'at is pulled easily and Nashta is pulled violently. So let's go over the first answer choice. So it says An Naziat is pulled out violently. That is correct. An Nashta is pushed back violently. None of the definitions fit for that, so that's why that one is wrong. An Naziat is pushed out violently. That is wrong, so we can easily eliminate that one. An Naziat pulled out violently. An Nashta pulled easily. This one is correct. An Naziat is to be pulled out violently. An Nashta is to be pulled out easily. And then the last answer choice is Naziat is pulled out easily. That is wrong. And Nashta is pulled violently. That is wrong. These two definitions have switched. So the correct answer choice is C. Question number 3 says, why can't the disbelievers believe in Surah Naziat? They do not know the truth. They are arrogant. They are rebellious, and they turn their back. So there are two answer choices for this one. They know the truth, but they will not take advantage of it. Like Fir'aun, he knows the truth. He will ignore Musa alayhi salam and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's signs. So that cannot be an answer choice. They are arrogant. That is one of the answer choices. Fir'aun was arrogant because he did not want to lose his status. The Kuffar and the Quraysh also did not want to lose their status, so they're arrogant. They are rebellious. Yes, they are. The Kuffar and the Quraysh, they had this weird rebellious feeling in their heart that they always want to talk back to the Prophet ﷺ. And we can see this multiple times. We can see it when Musa alayhi salam left to the valley of Tuwa and he was getting revelation. And then all of them started believing in a cow when they came back. And then we can see this again when the Quraysh were not, when the Quraysh were presented with an idea by the Prophet ﷺ, they would ask mockingly back to the Prophet ﷺ. So that answer choice is correct. And they turned their back. That is also correct. So these three answer choices are all correct. What was the time period did the disbelieving people say about their life? From Asr to Maghrib, from Fajr to Dhuhr, from Isha to Isha, from Maghrib to Fajr. So in the last ayah, it talks about how their life, they felt like it was so short. And the last ayah says, كأنهم يوم يرونها لم يلبثوا إلا عشية أو ضحاها. Ashiyya is when the sun is setting down, Maghrib time, and أو ضحاها, which is early Fajr or later than Fajr. So the correct answer choice is from Fajr, from Maghrib to Fajr. Okay, so Jazakallahu khairan for everyone attending the polls. For those who have got 100, please attend next time, and the next questions will be much more easier, inshallah. Abdullah, you can do the concluding dua while I share the results.
Jazakallah khair, Abdurrahman, for discussing the polls. So inshallah, please remember to join next week, inshallah, for Surah An Naziat by me, inshallah, and Abdurrahman, inshallah, the next 99 name of Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is Al-Alim. So inshallah, now I'll do the concluding dua. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك ونتوب إليه أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله الله الله